Thanks for tuning in to your daily dose of quick real estate updates, local housing trends, and market data, plus tips, tools, and strategies to help you buy, rent, or invest with confidence. You're now getting ready with RealiCare Reports, powered by the innovation team, Cami and Rex. Now go grab your favorite morning breakfast, coffee or tea, and let's enjoy today's episode.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping right into the latest figures on the U.S. housing market, specifically new home construction.
Yeah, we've got this report here from Florida Realtors, and it's pulling data from, the big players, NAHB, HUD, the Census Bureau. It's all focused on housing starts for April 2025.
Right. And our goal today is really to unpack this for you. We want to see what the numbers tell us about new builds, get into the why behind the trends, especially this dip in single-family starts that's mentioned.
Exactly. Let's figure out what's actually going on beneath the surface.
Okay, so you mentioned headlines can be a bit misleading sometimes. Let's start right there. The main number, overall housing starts in April. What did that look like?
Okay, so the top line finding was that overall housing starts actually increased in April 2025. Up 1.6% from March.
Okay, 1.6% up.
Yeah, to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 1.36 million units.
1.36 million units, SAR. So that's the pace if it kept up all year, adjusted for seasons. Sounds like growth, doesn't it?
On the surface, yes, it does sound positive. But here's the catch.
There's always a catch.
Well, often, that overall increase, it wasn't really across the board.
Okay, how so? What part wasn't increasing?
When you look closer, single-family starts, standalone houses, they actually went down in April, fell 2.1%.
Down 2.1%. Okay, so that overall number going up is hiding a drop in single-family. What was that rate then?
It dropped to a 927,000 seasonally adjusted annual rate.
927,000. And how does that compare to last year? Is this just a little wobble or something more?
Well, according to the report, that 927K rate is also significantly down 12% compared to April 2024.
12% lower than a year ago. Okay, so that points to maybe a longer-term issue for single-family building, not just an April thing.
That's what the report suggests, yeah.
Yeah.
A more sustained downward trend there.
So this is fascinating. If single-family dropped, how on earth did the total number go up 1.6%? What pushed it up?
That would be the multifamily sector. So think apartments, condos, that kind of thing.
Right.
That part of the market really surged in April. It jumped 10.7% to an annualized rate of 434,000 units.
Wow, 10.7%. Okay.
Yeah, so that strong growth in multifamily building was enough, actually more than enough, to kind of balance out the single-family decline and nudge the total number up.
Got it. Multifamily is basically carrying the load right now. So what does this split tell us? I mean, single family down, multifamily up. And crucially, what reasons does the report give, from the NAHB folks, for why single family is slumping?
Yeah, it definitely points to different forces acting on these market segments. Multifamily often ties more into the rental market, maybe different financing structures.
Mm-hmm.
Single family, though, that's much more tied to, individual home buyers, affordability, builder confidence in those buyers.
Makes sense.
And the report, drawing on the NAHB analysis, points to a few key things driving that single family slowdown.
Okay, like what? What are the big ones?
Well, number one is probably elevated interest rates, and that's a double whammy, right?
Right.
It hits buyers with higher mortgage rates, making homes less affordable. And it hits builders with higher costs for their own loans, ones they use to finance the projects.
Right, cost of capital for them. What else?
They also cite uncertainty on the tariff front, plus rising costs for building materials. That's still a thing.
Yeah.
And just general sort of economic uncertainty floating around.
So it sounds like a perfect storm almost. Costs going up for builders while affordability is going down for buyers.
That's exactly how the analysis seems to frame it. These things are all tangled up.
Yeah.
Danushka Nanikara-Skillington from NAHB, she's their assistant VP for forecasting, she's quoted, saying this uncertainty, especially around rates and inflation, really impacts both the builder's financing and the buyer's ability to even qualify for a mortgage.
Yeah, that makes the whole process way harder.
Definitely.
And I think Buddy Hughes, the NAHB chairman, had a point in there about entry-level homes specifically.
Yes, absolutely. That's a really important point he made. He basically said these challenges, the costs, the financing hurdles, make it especially difficult for builders to deliver homes at the entry-level price point.
So the people who need affordable new homes the most might be the ones finding it hardest to get them.
That seems to be the implication, yes. It potentially squeezes out first-time buyers or those on tighter budgets from the new construction market.
Okay. And just to be clear, the report also mentions uncertainty on the tariff front concerning the UK and China. We're just relaying that this was listed as a factor contributing to the economic uncertainty affecting single-family starts.
That's right. The source lists it, so we're noting it as one of the contributing factors mentioned in their analysis. No commentary, just reporting what's cited.
Understood. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and look forward. What about building permits? They usually give us a hint about future construction, don't they?
They do, yeah. Permits are a key leading indicator. And the April permit numbers. Well, they suggest builders are still being pretty cautious.
How so? Down as well.
Yep. Overall, permits decreased 4.7% in April. They fell to a 1.41 million unit annualized rate.
Okay, overall permits down almost 5%. What about single-family permits specifically? Did they follow the starts trend?
They did. Single-family permits also went down 5.1% to a 922,000 unit rate.
922,000, and how does that compare year over year?
Also down compared to last year. The report says single-family permits were 6.2% lower than in April 2024.
So fewer starts and fewer permits being issued for single-family homes. It really does sound like builders are maybe, tapping the brakes a bit.
That's definitely one interpretation. It suggests the downward trend in starts might stick around for a bit, or at least that builders are hesitant to kick off too many new single-family projects, given those headwinds we talked about: costs, rates, buyer affordability.
Makes sense. And multifamily permits, did they surge like the starts did?
Actually, no. Multifamily permits also dipped in April. They were down 3.7% to a pace of 490,000 units.
Interesting. So even though multifamily starts were strong in April, the permits for future multifamily projects also softened a bit.
Exactly. It adds another layer of complexity there.
Let's talk regions. The report broke down starts and permits by area, right? What did that show year to date, combining single and multifamily starts?
Yeah, looking at January through April combined, starts were actually up quite a bit in the Northeast, almost 20%, 19.8% higher.
Wow.
The Midwest was up 4.4%, the West up 3.4%, but the South, which is obviously a huge region for housing, was lower year to date. Combined starts were down 7.4% there.
Down 7.4% in the South year to date? That really stands out compared to the growth elsewhere, a big regional difference.
Definitely notable.
And what about the permit data regionally year to date? Same pattern?
Not quite. Permits tell a slightly different story regionally. Year to date, permits were actually lower in the Northeast, down 20.3%.
Huh, opposite of starts there.
Right. Permits were also lower in the South, down 3.8%, and lower in the West, down 3.5%. Only the Midwest showed an increase in permits year to date, up 5.1%.
Okay, so this is really fragmented. The South is down in both starts and permits so far this year. Other regions might have seen starts go up, but permits are now falling, suggesting maybe a slowdown is coming there too, except the Midwest, where permits are up. It really shows how, local conditions matter.
Absolutely. National trends are one thing, but local supply, demand, economic health, maybe even regulations, they all play a huge role region by region.
Before we wrap this up, did the report mention how many homes are actually under construction right now, like the current inventory being built?
It did give those numbers for April. 630,000 single-family homes currently under construction, and 788,000 multifamily units being built. So quite a lot still in the pipeline, especially on the multifamily side.
Right. And despite all the challenges we've discussed, did the NAHB analysis in the report offer any, potential silver linings, any positive factors they see?
Yes, they did mention a couple of things they view as potentially positive. The source cites recent developments regarding tariffs, specifically mentioning the UK and China again, and also points to major tax legislation that's apparently advancing in Congress.
Okay. And how would those help?
Well, according to the NAHB's analysis presented in the report, these factors should provide a boost to housing demand and also give some positive momentum to the economy overall.
So these are things the NAHB sees as potential boosts, things that could help improve the situation down the line based on their view.
Exactly. Cited as potential catalysts that could influence things going forward.
Okay. So let's try and summarize this deep dive. The April housing data really showed this tension, didn't it? Overall starts looked okay, slightly up.
But only because multifamily construction was so strong.
Right. Meanwhile, the single-family sector, standalone houses, that continued to slide. Down compared to March and down pretty significantly compared to last year.
Yeah, and the reasons cited in the report really paint that picture of pressure. High interest rates, hitting both sides, material costs, economic jitters, tariff uncertainty mentioned as a factor. It all adds up.
And the PURIT data, looking ahead, seems to suggest builders are feeling that pressure and acting cautiously, especially with single-family homes. Though, as we saw, it varies a lot depending on where you are in the country.
Definitely. You got the starts, the permits, the regional splits, the reasons cited it, all weaves together into this really complex picture. It's certainly not just one simple headline.
It really shows how interconnected everything is, doesn't it? Builder costs, buyer affordability, financing, overall economic mood.
It's all part of the same ecosystem.
Absolutely. So maybe here's the final thought for you, our listener, to take away based purely on what we've unpacked from this source material. You have these key reasons cited for the single-family slowdown: high building costs, high rates making it expensive for builders and buyers, big affordability problems, and builders clearly being cautious, as shown by falling permits.
Right.
So thinking about that combination, what could it mean for the actual availability and the price of new single-family homes in the coming months, especially those really needed entry-level homes?
And then, how might those potential positive factors the NAHB mentioned, the tariff developments, the tax legislation they cited, how might they actually change that dynamic, if at all?
Yeah, something to definitely keep thinking about as you follow the housing market news.
Well, that wraps up today's episode of RealiCare Reports, where real estate meets real life. For more updates, tools, and insights that will help you buy, rent, or invest with confidence, be sure to follow, subscribe, stay connected, stay informed, and stay ready. Until next time.